All right, what's going on, everyone? Got a couple updates to hit on here today. Nothing in this video is going to be about Ukraine. I'm going to say that early because I've noticed that videos that aren't about Ukraine get a lot less views, and videos that start talking about Ukraine, like the first 5 minutes, and then I shift to something else, the viewership falls off at the 5-minute mark. But there is a lot of other stuff going on around the world when it comes to national security, international relations, so that's what we're going to dive into here today. We've got a new leader of Al-Qaeda that's been named. North Korea conducted a missile launch, a test, right as the U.S. and South Korea were conducting military drills. And there were a couple U.S. and SDF raids in Syria targeting ISIS leaders. All right, so starting out, Saif al-Adil has been named as the suspected new leader of Al-Qaeda. That makes him the third leader of the organization. The founder, Osama bin Laden, was killed in a raid in Pakistan in 2011. His successor, Ayman al-Zawahiri, was killed in a drone strike in Kabul in August of 2022. And Saif al-Adil being named as the new leader isn't really a surprise. He was kind of on the short list as soon as Zawahiri was killed. Adil's been with Al-Qaeda for quite a while now. His background is that he was born in the 1960s in Egypt. He served in the Egyptian Special Forces, got out as a lieutenant colonel where he joined the Egyptian Islamic Jihad, made his way to Afghanistan, and eventually kind of fell in with bin Laden in the early days of Al-Qaeda. He is suspected of having played a role in at least the training, maybe even some of the fighting in the Battle of Mogadishu back in 1993. And he did play a role in the 2001 9/11 attacks in the United States. Now, in early 2002, a couple months after the United States entered Afghanistan, Saif al-Adil fled to Iran, where he was captured and placed under house arrest. It's not as crazy as it sounds right off the bat. I mean, technically, Iran is Shia, Al-Qaeda is Sunni, but the Iran-Al-Qaeda relationship is much more complicated than that. Since he was placed under house arrest in Iran, there's been a bunch of rumors about his being used in various prisoner exchanges with Iranian diplomats. There were rumors that he made his way back into Waziristan, some of the tribal regions in western Pakistan. But right now it's believed that he is still in Iran under some sort of house arrest, which will have some sort of impact on his ability to actually run Al-Qaeda. All right, moving on. North Korea launched an intercontinental ballistic missile, ICBM, on Saturday, February 18th, that landed in the Sea of Japan. The numbers here are going to throw you off at first. We're going to get into that just a little bit. They say that it flew over 900 kilometers, 560 miles, and that it reached an altitude of 5,768 kilometers. That's over 3,500 miles. Those numbers are from Japan. Last I saw were from Japan. There might be some other sources corroborating it, which sounds crazy, right? That's straight up and straight down. But the way that a country like North Korea is able to test these intercontinental ballistic missiles that can range halfway around the world is that they have to go straight up so as to limit the amount of time, if at all, they overfly someone else's airspace. Any ICBM launch is risky, but by essentially going vertical and staying mostly within North Korean airspace, it limits the likelihood that this is viewed as an attack against Japan, South Korea, Australia, the United States, or anyone else. Now, this comes one day after North Korea warned of an unprecedented strong attack if the United States and South Korea continued with their planned military exercises. I wouldn't really say this was an unprecedented response by North Korea. I mean, they fired something like 40 missiles in 2022. This was the first one so far in 2023, but it does kind of sound like business as usual. And in spite of that missile launch, the United States and South Korea are going ahead with their military exercises. And on Sunday, the United States flew long-range supersonic bombers over the Korean peninsula as a demonstration of strength. Moving on to Syria, I've talked about U.S. troops and activities in Syria in a recent video, just kind of as a reminder that we do have boots on the ground there. The last video was shooting down a drone, but it's gotten a little more kinetic over the last week or so. On February 17th, U.S. Central Command put out a statement that Islamic State leader Hamza al-Hamsi was killed in a helicopter raid in northeastern Syria. As a result of that raid that was carried out by U.S. and Syrian Democratic Forces, or SDF, 4 U.S. service members and 1 working dog were wounded, but are now in stable condition. The following day, February 18th, CENTCOM put out a statement saying that U.S. and SDF forces conducted another raid in eastern Syria, capturing an Islamic State officer named Batar, who is responsible for planning attacks and manufacturing IEDs. There's generally so little information coming out about Syria that it's really hard to tell at first glance if this is some major uptick or just a coincidence that these night raids happen back to back. All right, wrapping up, got a couple good interviews that I'm excited about, focused on Ukraine, and then a Ukraine update coming in the next day or two. But that'll do it for now. I'll see y'all next time.